Hey, everybody, and welcome to this episode 262 of the Thought Team Navigating Now Virtual Roundtable Series. I am Anthony Ewing, co-founder, chief brand officer here at Thought Team, and we are thrilled to bring you leaders and leadership topics that matter most on a week-by-week basis. We go live every Thursday at 3 p.m. Central, and we are 262 episodes in. One of the beautiful things about Navigating Now is that we get to follow some of our guests, entrepreneurs, business leaders over the course of now almost 8 years since the inception of the show. And one of our guests, Mark Skala, who we'll introduce here in just a moment, has kind of been with us along a couple of different rides. One of which is the growth and scaling of a small business in Thought Team, and of course in his as well too. We're both proud Chicagoans, and particularly Mark and I have a unique interest in understanding how new technologies are going to impact our work as leaders and our organizations at large. So we are thrilled to bring Mark Skala back to the Navigating Now Virtual Roundtable. Mark, good to see you.
What's going on?
Great to see you. And you're literally right down the road here in Chicago. But it's so nice that we get to connect here and go live to our LinkedIn audience. We also want to welcome those folks tuning in on thoughtteam.com/live. And for the handful of folks that tune in on Facebook, we appreciate you all. This episode 262 is titled How AI is Shaping the Creative Field. And, our work at Thought Team over now almost 10 years has become more and more hedging on creative as a differentiator. And so we love to intersect and collide with organizations like Mark's. Mark runs Skalawag Productions. It is a video and photo production company. They deal specifically in food and beverage. I'll have Mark tell you a little bit about the business here. But one of the things that we just so uniquely love about Mark and his company is that he keeps it real, year over year over year. And now in the face of a lot of change and new technology, we've got Mark here to keep it real with what we should be paying attention to in terms of AI and its impact on the creative process. So Mark, welcome.
I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to spew some hot takes into the ether that I'm sure will age very well.
Yeah. Okay. So for those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us about your company, Skalawag Productions.
Yeah. So Skalawag's been around this is year 11 full time, which is pretty crazy. I've been trying to build it. There's many years before that, where we were trying to sort of build something as technology shifted. The last time technology shifted, I would even say.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of work in the food and beverage world. We kind of focus on high-end commercial advertising, digital content, and documentary storytelling. And we also specialize in integrated production. So how do you shoot photo and video at the same time?
Love that. Mark also has a studio here in Chicago, and I feel like on any given day you can walk in and he and his team are climbing on ladders, like hanging from the rafters, like trying to get essentially the right shot. And I say this because the analog nature of your work, Mark, I feel is becoming, almost more and more scarce by the day as organizations, really focus on bringing in new technologies to create efficiencies and particularly bringing in AI to create, to help create. How has your business been impacted by, this technology? Let's call it just over the last 12 months, because we know it's been a bit of a runway, but I feel like in the last 12 months, you must have been thinking about this and how AI kind of comes in.
Yeah, it comes in waves. I think in 12 months, you go from this spectrum of, wow, this looks cool, this is like a neat little thing, to all of a sudden in 12 months, like, oh boy, this is gonna get weird. And I say that because I've ran the gamut of, oh man, we're not gonna have a business in a year, to, wow, I actually dived into any of this stuff and it's not as push a button as you want it to be. And actually it takes a lot of work to get there, especially on the generation side. Now, it's also affected our business in good ways, in the sense of we've used it to create a lot of efficiency in development and busy work and things that like suck time versus allow us to be humans. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so that's sort of the weird like spectrum that has been created by AI, at least in video production and photography, where there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of resistance. And that resistance is not only from like doers or like creatives in the industry, especially on the technical side. Like I think a lot of people who are operating cameras or editing footage and things like that are feeling the pressure of like, what is this going to look? What is my career going to look like in a couple of years? And on the other side, I think you're seeing creatives that are very into it and just generating stuff all over the place. And then you have people that are super resistant to it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fascinating and terrifying, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I'm curious, what are the conversations like with your clients? Because I can imagine your clients are kind of trying to figure this out. Have you had clients that maybe have like tried to go rogue and do things more efficiently with you know, AI and AI engines? Are they coming back? Like, what are the discussions you're having with your clients on particularly this technology and its impact?
It's a lot of advisement a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, and you know, if you scroll Twitter or on LinkedIn, what you see is a lot of people, a lot of tech bros, a lot of like normal people talking about all the cool stuff it can do. And that's true. But what we found is like when you really try to like create a project like you would how we would do it with a camera, where we're building out scripts and storyboards and moving into production and moving into post-production. And especially in client work where there's a level of specificity, a level of uniqueness, and a level of personal subjectivity from a client team, you cannot do those knobs like you want to.
Right.
And so there's this disconnect a lot of the time from, I think, C-suite a lot of the time, or boards where they're like, well, just AI it, you know? And it's like, and so then that trickles down and people are like, well, just AI it. And it's like, we're trying to AI it. It's not working. It sucks. It just sucks. All of it sucks. And so you can generate awesome memes. You can generate movie trailers that are surreal and things like that. And we're not quite in that uncanny valley all the time mode anymore. There's been some things that are like, oh, this is cool. This is AI, but like, it's like actually kind of good. But then you go back and reverse engineer how they did it. And it's like, oh, that was just about as much work as it was to do a commercial the normal way.
Yes.
And like, did you spend more money? Did you not spend more money? It's very variable. I think there's a lot of people making money selling the idea of AI advertising and AI commercials. And I think there's something to that. Now, when I'm having conversations with my clients, there's a lot of resistance. I think the moral of what I've learned is I think at the end of the day, people want to buy from people. And that's my saving grace when it comes to how I think about the future of the business. Is I think ultimately that human element does matter. And you're going to get, when you all you do is crash some zeros and ones in a random generator and hope you get the right prompt to make something happen and get the character consistency and all these different things, something is lost most of the time. Not every single time, but most of the time. And that's where I think a lot of people are right now. And where I think about, I think about this literally every day, because like it's my well-being, right? It's like, oh, am I going to have a company in 5 years? And what the weird part of it is you have that it can do everything. It's the end of the world. There's no more jobs anymore. Utopia, yay. Or like, you know, we're just going to create content with it. And then I talk to like an AT&T chatbot that's AI that's supposed to be able to just direct my call easily. And I'm like screaming at the chatbot that it can't do anything. You know what I mean? And so there's this wide spectrum. And the reality is it's somewhere in the middle.
It's somewhere in the middle. Yeah.
You know, and like that's always the lesson. And why am I freaking out about people saying things on Twitter? That's not something to freak out about, you know? So
yeah, it's interesting. You've got me thinking about, again, like a little bit of the commonality between your business and ours is that we are client services, both, you know, a production company and a consulting company, client services. Right. And so there's the social, you know, kind of impact of AI. And I think for client services, it's going to take a while for a new technology to disrupt the value of getting in a room, getting on the line, understanding our clients' needs, and then, you know, translating them into value. There's the technical side, both of which in your business and in ours, I think AI is going to maybe have a little bit more of an immediate impact. And as you talk about, you know, at the end of the day, your clients are going to want to know that like the shot of that incredible new soda drink is perfectly reflecting, the condensation on the side of it. And those are like down to the pixel. Those are tweaks that can only be understood and then solved for with the human eye and the human hand.
Yeah.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong. Likewise, in the world in coaching and consulting, our clients have access to now the world's information at their fingertips. But when it gets down to like our version of the pixel, which is, our organization's people, are their behaviors changing? Like, is their everyday language changing? Do they have more confidence? Are they able to make the right decision in critical moments? When it comes down to the pixel of the work that we know and love to do, I don't see a technology truly disrupting that. And so I think you've got me thinking about how can we leverage technology at more of kind of the top of the creative process, and then make sure that we come in as humans and ensure that like the point of value or the point of contact or point of impact, I should say, is led by a human and not a piece of technology.
Yeah. And I think, there's a lot of talk about in the ecosystem in my business about story being really important. And I think it's always been important, right? But the attention to how do we get to a place quicker to create creative ideas that are useful and impactful.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, this is cliche, but like, I think I see AI as a tool for us in many different areas. And it could be something as simple as, we shot this commercial. We really love how it looks. And we just want to make sure that appliance over there is like we can do it in every single color. So if the algorithm knows you have a preference for green, it's going to show you the green product instead of red.
Love that.
Like these are like little tweaks that like you're not replacing, you're augmenting in a way that's actually positive and impactful. And that's just an example of how you could create millions of ad sets with slightly different personalized tweaks for that person. Now, I think there's an argument to be said that like eventually that's all going to happen automatically. But like if I'm being honest, like if I know that, I don't know how much I'll engage with any of that stuff. And maybe it's just me, that could be. So
well, I know I also think that's probably what makes your organization unique in a world where I think a lot of small businesses particularly are going to try to find the latest shortcut. I'm curious, Mark, in terms of like if you step back and you look at like your creative process at Skalawag, where do you see AI kind of like fitting in that creative process? Here at Thoughtium, we have a framework that we use, and it's super simple and everybody uses it, but it's catchy.
Yep.
Human, machine, human. Yep. Meaning like in terms of our creative and design process, we start with a couple of minds, like actual human minds in a room, to do some of the big thinking and the brainstorming, to bring context into the project or the solution. We then augment it with like, okay, now we've got to either validate what we're thinking about, or we've got to come up with like 5 or 6 different options, and we use AI for that. And then we make sure that the human comes in and is a part of shaping the final product and delivering it. I'm curious, where does AI fit in your creative process now?
Yeah, this has actually been one of the biggest topics of conversation this year with the team, right? It's not about like, okay, we can be fearful of like the things that it could potentially do one day. Or what we can do is figure out like, again, how do we do the things that make us more efficiently? So like instead of spending time, I just spent 30 minutes reviewing a transcript trying to find that one quote, you know what I mean? That I was trying to go. So like there's 3 different ways that I'll mention that it's really helped our process. One, it's when we do creative workshops with clients to help them develop creative. It is a repository where we can ask questions and get responses. What was it that they said about X, Y, and Z?
Love that.
Immediate response. And so what that does is it removes the pause in ideation. We literally did it today. Pause in ideation to understand like 2 people having one thought and then another thought based on something that they tried to look up. So it's like, what did they say? Oh yeah, this scenario. What if we did this, this, and this? And then someone has an idea that piggybacks off of that. And then we're recording that session too. And so then when we want to refer to those ideas, and we also do it like analog with a whiteboard and sticky notes too. We still like to do that as a tactile way to do it. But then when we're remote and my producer's trying to find the idea that I said at minute 18, it's asking a question in a very easy way. So that's one way that we do it, right? Another way we do it that I love as a director is like when I'm building storyboards, oftentimes clients have a spectrum of being able to visualize creative work, right? And so for us, we always work in a very iterative approach. We do, we'll do the production plan, we'll do the script, and then we'll do the storyboard. So every time you get a little bit clearer vision of what it looks like. And in the past, like I'm not a talented practical artist, okay? Like I make videos, and like my hand-drawn storyboards were garbage. And then I was doing Canva storyboards where it was like an approximation, but then with like a weird like fake person. And now what I do is I'll take location photos from the actual location we're using. And if we've got product photos of whatever we're shooting or whatever it is, or the dish or whatever, I can build out cohesive, realistic enough shot compositions in a storyboard that puts the client there more immediately and gets feedback quicker from them on things they like and they don't like. And that is huge. And if you look at the last, I would say 6 projects we did on the commercial side, I should probably do a podcast just on this, like how it was made, where if you look at the storyboards, I'm actually very impressed at how consistent we are in what we're delivering. And what that does is it builds trust with the client that you're going to deliver on what you said you would, right? And hopefully above and beyond.
Well, I'm curious what
and the other way we do it is in our documentary. Oh, sorry. I think it cut for a minute. It was probably my.
All good. We're caught up. Yeah. I think you were on your third example.
My third example is in our documentary work, which we've won a lot of awards for and are really passionate about. Like ultimately, one of the biggest things to making documentary profitable enough, like it's less profitable than our commercial work. That's, I think, a pretty reasonable thing to say. It's just because it takes longer to do it well. Like we could do it crappier for cheaper, but like that's not really our MO these days. And ultimately, what we do is we'll take all of these pre-interviews that we have from different people that we're building a character list for this documentary, and we'll build a narrative with I'll be like, okay, here's sort of the theme that we've mapped out. Can you give me an approximation of sort of what that could look like from words people actually said? And then what we do go in and we proof it and we rearrange to be more consistent, because sometimes it makes stuff up that no one said. And that's a way that we can get the client much faster something to react to before we're ever rolling cameras. And that, in terms of like making sure that you're delivering on what you said you would in a way that is also profitable, is like kind of what business is all about to me. And it's like building that value is really important. So those are 3 like very distinct ways we're using it to, like, again, remove the busy work. That's it.
That's interesting. This might be this is like a super granular question, so we might lose a handful of listeners with this one, but I'm just curious, and maybe selfishly, I want to ask you this question while I have you. What will the role of software play in your business? Like, do you feel like specific software suites like Adobe and Canva and stuff, like those will go away and all software will essentially just be, within, these AI models? Or do you feel like you're still going to have kind of like a core set of specific, software suites that you'll work with?
I think that question is above my pay grade. I think at the end of the day, the reality is every time I think something from a tech perspective is going to either be on one side all encompassing or on the other side not have an effect at all, I'm always wrong.
Yeah, totally.
So like ultimately, like reading the tea leaves, I think my philosophy on all of this is I'm not beholden to the tools that we use at all.
Love it.
I don't have a need to use Adobe Premiere. I have, no offense to Adobe, I don't have that much brand loyalty to Adobe. I feel like they've been putting us over the rocker for years. But at the end of the day, what I want to do is make sure that my team is using the right tool to get our clients the right thing. And I think that just like it has from my days using Final Cut 6, now that landscape has changed crazy. Like I you know, when I go back to like talking to junior editors and stuff, it's like, well, in my day, this would take 4 hours to render on a computer before I could even look at it. You know what I mean? So it's really shifted a lot. It's just like time gets compressed and you know, it goes faster. So
I think I love kind of the thesis of what you just said, which is, I think a good tip is like, let's not be beholden to a specific piece of software, technology, LLM platform. If we've learned anything over the last, you know, 18 to 24 months, it's that like what's true today, you know, Chat GPT, for example, being the predominant you know, AI agent, like could absolutely be completely different in 6 months, which I think is why we, and I think it's why we need to continue to define and reiterate our creative process to our teams in ways that they understand the process, and not necessarily like, this is our tech stack and here's how you kind of leverage, you know, technology to do your job. There's so much that folks, I think, need to own, so that as technology kind of comes and goes, you know, they've got the basics down.
Yes.
Mark, I could talk about this for hours, and I so appreciate you stepping on and just giving us a little bit of a glimpse in terms of some of the conversations you're having and the things that you're thinking about running a small business. We so appreciate you. Can you have time for a quick lightning round?
Absolutely.
Okay. You know the deal. These are questions that are unplanned. First thing that comes to mind.
Best, yes.
Okay. As a documentarist, I'm curious, what's a documentary that you're like really geeking out about today?
Oh man, that's so hard. If I'm being honest right now, we've been so busy that I have not watched anything other than Mad Men reruns. And so while not a documentary, what I'll say is watching Mad Men again after 10 years of owning a business, whereas before I watched Mad Men before I ever owned a business as a creative, is like and a parent, it's like a completely different show, and it's still awesome. And so like that, I mean, that's what I've been watching right now. If I'm being totally honest, like that is the end of the day thing with my wife, you know?
Oh man, you watch that show and it's like, why was I not born in an era that like, as a professional, I could walk down the hall and have a glass of scotch at like 11:15 and figure out a business problem.
Everyone just had to feel shitty all the time, right?
I know, right? Just constantly hungover.
Anymore, you know, like wild.
What's maybe an aspect of, and I know you're pretty adamant about not, you know, telling the future, but what's an aspect of your business that is really different today than it was even just a year ago?
Man, I think a couple of things. Outlook of the future is just a little bit more tentative, and so like I think my attention to risk, or my ability to judge risk has gone, or like want to take on more risk has gone down. And that's maybe getting older, one, and then two, I used to think that there was like an unlimited runway with video, and so I will always do the right long-term thing. And I'd like to say that I still do that, but I think how I think about it has changed quite a bit in the last year.
Yeah.
Through that. Like good ups and downs of the business in the last 2 years. It's been a wild ride.
Yeah. Something tells me you're a Chicago pizza guy.
I am.
Okay. Favorite Chicago pizza? This is a very controversial topic.
I mean, I will die on many hills here. I'm going to give you favorite childhood pizza is Phil's in Chicago Ridge, where I grew up.
Okay.
It's like a hole in the wall, delivery only counter place, but it's awesome and I love it. And I will stand that is my favorite. I live in Berwyn, Illinois now, and my favorite is oh
shoot. The suspense. Looks like he's paused. See if we can get him back. Interesting. Okay. Here he comes. The suspense was killing us, Mark. I know
what happened. Villanova and Stickney is my favorite in Berwyn.
What's it called? Villanova and
Villanova. Yep.
Okay. Interesting. I hadn't heard of that. Is it like traditional, like pub style thin crust or
tavern style pizza? I also enjoy Pequod's as well is one of my all times.
It's so interesting. Like over the last year, I've been exposed to what I would now consider like real Chicago pizza, which is not like Lou Malnati's and, deep dish. It really isn't. Like,
I mean, I like deep dish too. I love deep dish.
I do. Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
either, but
there's just way too much good, like pub style thin crust.
Agreed.
Yeah.
The tavern style is the play most of the time.
Okay. Last question. What's your word of the year? I don't know if you do this personally or professionally, but like if you had to maybe sum up 2026 for you and your team, what would that be?
Consistency.
Ooh.
Every single year of this business has been one good year, one varying degree of bad year. And it could be like just a little not as good. And this is the first year in a while that I felt like, okay, I think maybe we got it this time. It's really exciting. We're not gonna knock on some wood, right?
I was going to say, isn't that exactly when, everything goes left when you think you're going right?
It does, but like, man, it sure seems like it's going right now. So I mean, which is great problem. So I'm just going to, I'm going to ride the roller coaster and enjoy that I get to ride the roller coaster.
That's great. Well, Mark, thank you so much for being a part of the show. You're one of our, perennial guests, and we just appreciate you so much. And I personally just love to experience the evolution of you as a leader and Skalawags as an organization. And somehow you also like you get younger every year as well too. So I don't know. I gotta maybe learn a little bit more about your supplement stack, but that's a totally different conversation for a totally different episode. Mark, thank you so much for being a part of the Navigating Now Network. And I'm sure we will see you again down the road.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, brother. Okay, that rounds out episode 262 of the Thought Team Navigating Now Virtual Roundtable Series. What a great conversation. I just love kind of getting in the dirt with other practitioners. Mark is one of those leaders that, he will be in front of his team, guiding and directing the future of his organization. And literally 30 minutes later, he'll be on his hands and knees, moving set to make sure that they've got the perfect setup for their clients. And those are the types of leaders we like to be around day in and day out. We go live every Thursday at 3 p.m. Central. You can find this episode and every episode at thoughttium.com/live. Hope you all have a great rest of the week.